Um, Same stuff. Now I'll be talking about testing of Lua code, and mostly about testing on different platforms like Linux and Windows, about testing different configurations of our code, with different compilers, different Lua versions or Lua sheet versions, and different third-party libraries. And all this doing the least amount of work as possible. Some of the techniques I will talk about are related to continuous integration. So basically, continuous integration is about getting a copy of your code, building it, running the tests, and reporting any errors over and over. So I won't be talking about CI best practices, Agile, or stuff like that, because that's way out of the scope of this talk. And by no means any of the techniques presented here are exclusive of Agile. So to be fair, this talk will be most about build automation. So we need a way to automate the process of building the software. So we need some tooling in place, like some source code repository, a script to drive the build, and a script to run the tests. So the first point is about having a source code repository. So you have a place where you can store the different versions of your code and retrieve them at will. I really hope everyone is using some kind of source control, be it Mercurial, be it Git, Subversion, or whatever. And the second point is about building your code. Having a complicated checklist of that one has to follow to build your code is definitely error-prone. I don't want to make a new directory, copy my code there, set up development tools, type commands, and to get me some binaries. I just want a script that I can type build, and off it goes, doing all the work for me. Also, having a script makes it easy to experiment with little changes. To see what if I build my code with a different compiler or a different version of a given library. And the third point is quite like the second. We want a simple way to run our tests and get a report back saying which tests failed and which ones succeeded. There are a lot of good unit testing frameworks out there, and just using a cert will do. It's okay. So we already probably have all those tools, and probably we are already doing that process. We write some code, we run tests, and if everything is okay, we push changes to the repository. So why would we making things more complicated? So, excuse me. Imagine that you are a Lua, of course, Lua user, a Linux user. You like using Lua 5.3, you have an account on GitHub, and you wrote a library which is part Lua and part C, and you're happy with it. And over time, you add new features, new code, tests to make sure you don't are not breaking anything. Unknowingly, so everything is okay. One day you need to use your library with other Lua versions. So you install Lua 5.2 and Lua 5.1, and you start making changes to the code. You compile with one version, you compile with the other, you run the tests, fiddling with the code until everything works okay. But sometimes you add code and forget to build and test with all combinations. One day you need to use your library in Windows, so you get yourself a Windows box. So you can build your code and run your tests. You have to install a compiler, all 3 Lua versions, What if you don't have Windows available, or you don't want to have it? So things are becoming a little more complicated. So you probably will only test the version you use daily and forget about all the rest. And then one day you also plan to support LuaSheet. So testing all those variants is a lot of work. It's boring work, and we don't like doing boring work. That's what computers are for. So we need some tools, maybe some little changes in the way we work, so we can automate all the things, forget about doing this process by hand. So there are a lot of services out there that takes care of retrieving our code from our source repository, building it, and running tests. And they do it in a way that is really easy to make changes in the way the code is built. Yeah. So you can use different Lua versions. Okay, you can change whatever you want. And most of these services have free plans, so you don't have to pay for use it to run builds with your code, given most of them, given that your code is open source. And the features vary a lot from each other, but all of them offer, for instance, integration with GitHub. Some of them offer integration with Bitbucket. If you are a Mercurial user, you will need that. One of the most well-known services is Travis CI. It offers a tight integration with GitHub, allows running builds on Linux, iOS, and Mac. Drone.io is one of the few that also offer Mercurial integration. Bitbucket. Admeyer is the odd one here because it's the only one I know that offers the service for Windows. It supports integrating with GitHub and Bitbucket. There's CodeShip, Circle CI, and Magnum CI, which I just included for the cool logo. The features among all these services are quite similar. They provide GitHub integration with pull requests. They have many services already pre-installed, like databases. You can have Postgres, you can have Elasticsearch available. So we'll be focusing on just two of them, Travis and Admeyer, because using both services will have coverage for testing our code in both Linux and Windows, with little effort. So I mentioned pull requests before. For those who are not familiar with the concept, it's like a way for developers to collaborate. I can contribute code for someone else's repository to fix a bug or to add a new feature, but the person who is receiving my contribution does know that the code is correct. One can take a look at the proposed changes, checking to see if everything is okay, or you can pull the changes and build the code locally. So what Travis and Admeyer offer is that whenever someone sends a pull request to your repository, the code in that request is automatically built and tested. And here we can see it in action. This is Pierre's project on GitHub, Honeycot, a client for Install. Here we can see that this pull request was tested, passed built and passed on the test. And here we can see the green tick saying everything is okay. And this also works for regular commands. For instance, LuaRocks has integration enabled, so each commit that is made to the repository is tested using both Travis and Admeyer, so we have coverage on Linux and Windows. Okay, so for both commits and pull requests. So both services work in a similar way, mostly by adding a file to your repository. That's the case of Travis. That's travis.yaml. In that file, it describes how the code is built and tested. Each of these services has a web user interface, so you can control the same changes that you can control in the file, but I find it's better to have the file in your repository is more flexible. This is an example file. This one, yeah, it was from Lua Rocks. We are choosing a language and a compiler, but we don't care about that. I'll talk about that in a moment. Here we can see this line here is what the actual build and test of the Lua Rocks. And here is a concept that is common to all these services, the build matrix. You can configure that each time code is pushed, you can have many different shells with different configurations. The build scripts that Lua Rocks is using can use different Lua versions to run its tests. And you can have as many shells in that matrix as you want. This is the configuration file for a player. It's pretty similar. You see the matrix over there. This has more shells, 3 Lua versions and 2 Lua sheet versions. So both services have a list of supported languages, be JavaScript, Python, Ruby, C++, Erlang, and so on. So having support just means that some decisions are made on our behalf to simplify things for us. For instance, Travis CI has support for Erlang, so they assume, they let you easily choose the Erlang release you are going to use. They assume the project is built using Rebar and the tests are using eUnit. So if you don't specify anything in your Travis file, you throw it in your repo, say language Erlang, and off you go. So basically, language support just means ease of use. But sadly, no platform has support for Lua out of the box. So we'll have to write some script to install the Lua version we want, or Lua sheet, to install Lua Rocks if we need it. We depend on other libraries. But luckily for us, there are a couple projects out there that already have done this. So we have Lua Travis example by Alexei on YouTube. It's hosted on GitHub. Lua Bayer example was written by me, and it's the same thing but for Bayer. So let's see an example. I recently submitted a pull request adding Travis CI integration to Elasticsearch Lua, a client of Elasticsearch that we talked about. So because it was a perfect candidate. Why? Because it already had a build script, was Lua Rocks RockSpec. It already had tests, but it was just a matter of dropping a couple of files into the repository and submit. So this is the Travis YAML for Elasticsearch Lua. So since it is a rock, we are choosing the Lua Rocks version we want. And currently at that time, Elasticsearch Lua was Lua 5.3 only. So the other combinations are going to that. We are telling Travis, okay, I want the Elasticsearch server to be started before my thing runs. Before installing our code, this script came up from the Travis example repository. What they do is to download and compile and install the Lua version you choose, or Lua sheet version. It sets the environment, so you can have a working Lua and LuaRocks installation available, just by saying which version you want. Since the tests depend on this rock, unit X, we installed it. We build it using the rock spec. We build the code of the client. We make sure Elasticsearch is running. We see the version, and run the tests that was already supplied by the library.
Question.
Yeah.
The install and before install, are they persistent if they build?
They're not.
You can have, they offer functionality like a cache, so you can, after you are sure things are okay, you can put things in the cache. So next time you will find that Lua is already downloaded and built, and maybe unit X is already installed. These templates are not using that. I think they weren't available at the time. In Travis has cache, Baylor has it, but it's not that. No, it doesn't add that much time to your build times. It's downloads fast, compiles. It's really quick. So I sent that pull request. One of the authors, the proposed changes. I sent another change to the repository. I fixed an issue that was when running the test, so I could enable the whole matrix. So now the code is automatically built and tested with 3 Lua versions and 2 Lua sheet versions. The tests are already passing, the main fix. And these are the times this to build, download, build, Lua, install LuaRocks, run the test, 23 seconds, and half a minute, mostly. It's really quick. This one is another Lua library. This one is showing a very good integration. This one is a bit more involved since this library is using the CMake backend of LuaRocks. LuaRocks is able to build your code where you prefer to use a makefile or CMake or the built-in way of LuaRocks for simple modules. You can specify what you want to use. Okay, so this module is one of the few that is using CMake. So here we have a bigger matrix. This has 10 shells. Each Lua version and each Lua sheet version. Each one compiled both in 32 and 64 bits. So that's a lot of work to do by hand. I wouldn't do that. I would just test with the version I'm currently running. So there are a couple of useful guides. The first one is by Pierre. So whenever I'm saying the Travis and Lua integration, I refer them to his blog post. It's really quick and to the point article on how to enable the integration. You just have to mark some checkboxes in your GitHub account, create a Travis account, and that's pretty much it. And the other one, by Peter Aronoff, is mostly the same thing, but for configuring integration with Bitbucket and Romeo, another service. So I hope I got you interested in the idea that doing very little, you can save yourself from doing lots of repetitive work, improving the quality, and mostly for free. Yeah? So I don't know if anyone is interested in applying some of these techniques to your code and need a hand, feel free to ping me, contact me, and send me an email. I can, if you have a repository on GitHub, I can help you submitting a request to integrate things with Travis mostly. Okay. So that's pretty much. Thank you.
Any questions?
Okay.